of tea is this?
It's passion fruit. It does not have sugar in this one.
That's good.
I love passion fruit.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
delicious. Yeah. It's a cool name too.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so welcome to KAL Experience, episode number 21. We have another awesome episode for you guys in store today. I have two guests on that as you can see from my face, I'm extremely excited to talk to these two today. We have Kevin and Imen. Yeah, so just a little background before I give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves. Someone reached out to me. One of my buddies reached out a couple of days ago, less than a week ago, I think it was, and said, Kevin, I'm giving Kevin Allen, let's say, speaking to me because we have two Kevins here. He said, Kevin, I'm going to pass your information along to a buddy of his. And he thinks that we could really have some great conversations. And he didn't really go too much into what these conversations would be about. And so shortly after, Kevin Clark here reaches out to me. And, we had a little chat on Facebook. And then that sort of culminated pretty quickly into a phone conversation. And I just remember talking to this guy on the phone and just having a smile on my face as he's explaining what this business is that he's established here. And it combines I would say my two biggest passions. It combines those two. So as he's explaining this stuff, I'm like, okay, I got to have this guy on the show immediately. I need to hear more about this. I need to share this story with my audience. And fast forward, 48 hours, I think, Kev?
Right.
Thursday, I think.
Turnaround time, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. We were both on the same page. We said we gotta get this going, as soon as possible. So let me give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves, share as much or as little as you'd like to, and then we'll get into some more stuff with your awesome business.
Awesome. Yeah. Basically, my name is Kevin Clark. This is my wife.
Yeah, I am Imen Clark.
Yeah, we're partners and we work together, and we started this business called Point Motion. Essentially, what it does is it uses motion control technology, and it creates gamified musical experiences for kids that collects data for doctors. So pretty much just as simple as using any computer or tablet, kids can move around, play music games, kind of like Barney or Dora the Explorer, and it collects data and sends that to their doctor. And it's really a more accessible and inclusive way of providing care, while also kind of our mission is bringing music where people need it most. That's kind of the core of it. It wasn't so much to say, can we build a company, but really it came from the heart, something we wanted to do to solve a problem in the world.
Absolutely. And that's how we met, and that's how we linked, and we unified this vision in order for us to bring this to people who need it. Maybe we probably are going to be starting with kids, but we hope that we're going to grow with them and continue with them until later on in their life. We're very happy that we are sharing with you. So thank you so much, Kevin Allen, for the invitation.
Awesome. That's so cool. And for this conversation, I want this. I know I sent you guys, some questions. We'll get to some of the other stuff later, but I think in terms of what we're talking about right now, I just want to, because I'm so excited to hear more about this. And I purposefully cut that conversation short on the phone. I said, I don't want to hear everything about it. I just want to hear enough to know that I'm excited about it and that I want to have you guys on. So I'll start with, as you guys are explaining that, I'll start with, I even mentioned it last week. Like, I'm very fascinated with people who are at a place that to me is interesting or compelling. And I'm interested in kind of knowing and understanding a little bit about how did they get there? Right. And so I'm going to start and ask that question kind of like, we have music and we have, well-being, wellness, personal development type of a combination here. So do either of you guys have a music background? Do you guys just love listening to music, or kind of what kind of started this whole thing? And then we'll kind of unpack it further from there.
Definitely. Do you want to start?
I think this is a question that I myself want to hear it from Kevin Clark. So I will give you guys this opportunity.
Okay. Appreciate that. Basically, when I was going to school for music, I studied at Berklee College of Music, and I've always been very passionate about creativity and expression, and I wanted to pursue that in life. I was studying film scoring and jazz composition, something I was very passionate about. This idea of really knowing instruments on and how to arrange for orchestras on a high level at the same time arranging music for films. So I got really deep into that, and midway through my experience at Berkeley, my cousin was suffering. Basically, he had suffered a spinal injury due to a motorcycle accident, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. And kind of reflecting on that, I was going to school, studying music, and seeing the struggle that he was having, it kind of made me wonder, what can I do here with this music to help him in his situation? And I just wanted to motivate him. And for me, I had written many songs, but it didn't feel like another song was going to be the solution. And so it pretty much came down to, I had this Xbox Kinect camera that was inside my dorm room. I had just won it in bingo, and it was just sitting in a box. And I was like, here we go. I found an adapter to plug into my computer, and I just made it so each stretch, each movement would play a different song from a playlist. And it would be able to show you how long into the song that you stretched. And it would just be a way to kind of take his mind off of this notion of I'm stretching or I'm doing physical therapy, and just listen to music. And for me, I felt like that was already a step in a good direction to get him motivated. And from there, to make a long story short, I asked myself, how can a musician, somebody who's studying jazz composition and film scoring, start a technology company about making music by moving your body in front of a motion capture camera? Like, all these elements that I don't know about. But it all came down to, well, I do know that music can really influence and empower people in a deep way. I just saw this firsthand, and I'm in a position to do this. And I just had this moment of like mental liberation, where I actually ended up going to India and backpacking to India for a couple of weeks. And when I came back, I realized that calling myself a musician was limiting myself and what I was capable of. I had this idea, I had this experience, and I realized that rather than being musician, I'd be musical. And rather than worry about, getting to this endpoint where I've solved the problem, that everything I've learned with music, this notion of you don't enjoy music waiting for the last note, that notion just came alive and said, I don't need to feel like this needs to be done to know that I'm doing the right thing here. And so I just took the money I had left over from my student loans and started filing for this company, and was able to get some funding to even file for patents. And that was kind of the initial point, but rest assured that was not that's not what made it what it is today. That was just the idea, and really almost like a foolish sense of just moving forward with something you really believe in your heart, and really just that notion of I'm gonna go, even though I don't know what this journey is gonna hold. I stepped away from arranging music for orchestras and doing a lot of top tier music production stuff, and I moved into this realm of it's time to start from scratch again and learn business and learn technology. And when Imen came into the picture a few years after I graduated from Berkeley, that's when I met Imen. Right. And I, at that point, was at the early stages of the business, discovering, how this was going to live in the world. How does this exist? At that point, it was just move your body, make music. But how does that exist in an economic world, in a world where people pay for value? How can I deliver that in a way where it can live in people's lives? And I was just starting to discover that. And right at that time, really, Imen came in my life, and we met online, and we ended up connecting on this company. And just her background, I'm going to let you tell them more about yourself, but you're going to understand why, we're kind of two sides to the same notion. The way we describe it is if we were a tree, I would be the roots, she would be the branches. Yeah. And when she tells you about her and how she is and how she absorbs all different options, where I'm just go straight to the straight to the source, you're gonna see why this is built the way it really has been.
Yeah, awesome. I love how Kevin describes that.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. And I love stories like that, where and I guess you might hear it somewhat often, like people discovering what they want to do or what their purpose is, or like they're a business idea or something based on a need and based on a passion. In this case, you know, you mentioned your cousin, and it starts there, and then you realize, you know, how it's helped him, and then you realize that, okay, your cousin is one of many people that this type of idea can help out. And then I'm sure it just builds on that. The ideas start flowing, and then you guys mentioned even earlier in the conversation about, wanting to market it also to not just children, but to all different age groups. Cause music is, I don't know if transcendent is the word I'm looking for, but it's just so powerful and so important. And I'm such a huge advocate for that. Even like, so with regards to music, I'm fascinated with how I could, like the other day I was playing a video game, I think the other day. And then I don't know how this came in my mind, but an artist, excuse me, came in my mind that I haven't heard this guy's album in 15 years. And I loved his album back in the day.
Right.
And I just went on Google, or I went on YouTube Music. I'm subscribed to that. So I went on there and I started listening to the music, and then just like an overwhelming nostalgia. It's like, I haven't heard these songs in 15 years. And it brings me right back to, so that type of response, I don't think there's anything else that can bring me back. Maybe, you know, you can make the argument that, I guess, a video or something of that moment, perhaps, but you don't have those videos, you know, always captured. So like listening to something like that sense of nostalgia, I'm very in tune with that. So when you're talking about this stuff, I'm thinking about how powerful music just really is and how effective it can be in this particular capacity.
Absolutely. There is a lot of research that has been happening and for such a long time on music on the brain and the effect of the music on the brain. And actually tapping on what you are talking about is very interesting, because people who suffer dementia, Parkinson, or Alzheimer, they use those kinds of methods for treatment for them, or not necessarily for treatment, but maybe for assessment and for like trying to keep track on their cooperation and daily exercises and activities. And they see when they actually play a song that has a role or a good memory for them, they remember those moments, and they have higher abilities or probability to remember a task that belonged to that era, like a small task like remembering how to shower or something like that, because those people, they tend to forget even the necessary and the most basic activities. So yeah, music is that's why I'm saying it starts with children, but definitely we would want to help seniors as well.
Right. I feel like one of the biggest barriers to that whole situation in terms of why we all know that music is this powerful force, that it really moves us in a sort of way that crosses cultural boundaries. But up until now, there really haven't been many devices that can measure the impact of, that can quantify the impact of music. You can set someone up on an MRI, a brain scan, but I'm talking about going on a mass level where music therapists are working with children on a regular basis. It's not so easy to collect data and show how music is impacting them. So that's kind of one of the key parts of what we wanted to build, wasn't just having a way for people to engage and get that kind of health benefit that comes intrinsically with music, but also to be able to use it as a way of collecting data on how a person is growing in their life. I mean, take for instance, a child with autism who's going to be prescribed medication, right? They're going to be prescribed medication, and throughout their life, they're going to have to change that medication or change dosages of that medication. And how do we know the impact that that's having on their cognitive and motor skills over time? I talk to a lot of families that say, ultimately it's, parents are sometimes afraid because they don't know how to communicate the kind of symptoms and changes that they're seeing in their child. All they know is their child's staying up all night, or they can't stay up in class, or these kind of end results that they see as a result, from that. And so what we want to do is provide something that's not, that is kind of personal, the way music is, and but can also can be used to measure those changes over time in a way that's not a win or lose game that you're going to have to play for the rest of your life, where, oh, I hope I don't lose this game today because that means that something's wrong with me. Music doesn't have that effect. Music has, this sort of experience where you feel proud that you can create something that is beautiful, and you can see yourself in it. And that's why we made it this way. We didn't want to make it something where, people are going to go into this thinking, did I win or did I lose? Because that shouldn't be the outlook when you're trying to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. It's like one of amazing people who work with us, and like I consider her a mentor, always says that we always have to look at the music as a container, because she's a music therapist and she understands those things. And she says, in this experience that we are doing, this is really like a safe container for those specific populations where they feel that they can be expressing themselves and not feeling awkward or feeling uncomfortable. And there is this layer that's providing them with ease of cooperating with those activities with more flexibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, this conversation is like, it's like spot on for me. I'm sure, and I hope, that there's people out there that could really appreciate this type of a endeavor that you guys are on, and can maybe even relate to it. I think that, just to kind of continue on that music topic, I think that a lot of people understand and recognize that music has some power or some real significance, but a lot of people may not realize exactly what it is, right? They just know that they love listening to this song, or they really enjoy the way it makes them feel. But the research that you guys mentioned that people are doing, like, that's something that I want to spend some time actually learning about, because I'm aware that it's more than just that. I'm aware that it's like, again, I played a lot of video games back in the day, not as much anymore, but I still, dabble from time to time. There's playlists right on my phone right now from, games I played 20 years ago, and I still listen to these songs, and then all the way through. And it's like, again, kind of transports me back to that, simpler time where you just, just playing through Zelda, Ocarina of Time or something like that on N64.
That's going to bring someone alive in the challenges in their life,
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
it is. It definitely is. It definitely is. So let me ask this question. And this is the question I asked last week too. I think it's a really great question. If you guys could have one answer or separate if you guys would like. If you guys had the ability to, well, you guys are a unit. You're a married couple, so technically you can only have one answer. You have to be, or maybe you can make the argument that it's the other way. That, yeah, there you go. I like that. So if you guys had the opportunity to have a billboard placed anywhere with anything that you want written on it or shown on it, what would you guys like to have put on that billboard?
That's a good question. What do you think? Well, let's think where would we have that billboard?
Where?
Yes.
I think knowing you and me, we will put it in a virtual world that is accessible to any person from anywhere.
That's true.
I like that. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Good. You guys are off to a great start. That's a good first. Yeah.
On it, it would say point to the future.
I agree. I think that's a great idea.
That's something that, like, for our company, Point Motion, the name of the business, it represents a lot. It's not just, points in motion, like motion capture and your points moving. It's not just data that's moving that we collect that you can see, but it's also this concept of, to get places, you have to point there and then move towards it. You have to be where you are now. So that's kind of like one of our mottos for the company is point to the future, because in order to get anywhere, that's where you have to start. You got to decide where it is you want to be. We would put that on a billboard in virtual reality so everyone could hear that message.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so powerful, guys. I love that. I love the idea of having a destination, knowing that this is where you want to get. Maybe even if you want to take it a step further, this is where you want to get by this particular time frame, and always knowing that we are not always going to get there in the time frame that we had allotted, And the word failure, you guys have probably heard, you guys have a business background, so you probably could relate and understand that, like, the word failure, because you haven't accomplished whatever your original goal was, is a word that we in the business world probably don't like using as often, because there's so much value in the experience. So much value in the experience, and it builds character for you guys. It builds character for the people that are working towards that. And, if you were able to just transport yourself right now into wherever your goal is, like, take me, for example. I have a YouTube channel. I want to continue to grow my brand. I want to continue to get my story out there. And I want people like yourselves to have a platform to be able to have my audience learn from, awesome people like you guys. And if I said, man, I have a goal of, I want to be at X thousand subscribers by this date or whatever. And I was like, oh, if there's a way for me to get there and just transport myself right now into that moment, knowing just the stuff that I know now, there's so much content and so much information that I need to learn in the process and enjoy in the process. Someone said that, that enjoying yourself while you're getting there, like, because once you get there, there's more demand for sure. And there's more of a lot of other things that we need to be ready for. And I know that if we're passionate about what we're doing, like I am, and like you guys are, then the demand and all that stuff is not going to be as difficult to deal with, I think, because we know that the cause that the reason we're doing this for is so powerful, and it's going to be able to help so many people.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I've talked to a lot of different, people starting projects, and I can never, emphasize enough that you have to be anchored to something much deeper than just, arriving at the destination. You have to, just doing it in itself, has to be part of that value every day, while also knowing where you're trying to go. And if you don't hold yourself to that, then there's no accountability. And really, I think, I can definitely say when I started to look through your channel, like, I was really impressed, really saw that you were passionate, and you're creating a really focused platform for people who have family values and really care about news and information that really brings value into their life. This is something that Imen and I kind of focus on is, anytime we feel afraid, anytime we feel that anxiety, we know that it's just a matter, it's not really us. It's not a part of what we're trying to do. It's just something that happened along the way. And, that's kind of what always holds people back, the anxiety of, am I going to, reach my destination? Am I going to, is it going to work out the way that I planned it to? And, it's always going to be there, but it's just this ability to kind of step outside of yourself and know, I'm doing this because of this reason. I'm doing this because I can tell you, when times were so tough where I literally covering every last expense that I could with the last dollar I had to keep this vision going, even when people, were telling me that it was time to just give up. I feel like everyone reaching so high is probably going to face that at some point. So when I was confronted with that, it really was the thought of people like my cousin who said, tomorrow he's going to have to take on the same challenges. Or, those children that we meet along the way, that tomorrow they're going to have to keep taking on those challenges to live their life and their purpose. And that's what inspired me. It wasn't like, oh, one day I want to have, a financial freedom and be able to travel the world. That, fell at the wayside when things got really hard, because and you're flat broke. Like, ends up being, you think about, why am I doing this? Because those people that I met along the way, they're still fighting. They're still living their purpose, even with those same obstacles. And that is what really inspires us to, like, say, even though we might have hit the target exactly how we wanted to, it's okay to keep going,
Yeah, absolutely. It's like also enjoying the journey. It's not about arriving somewhere. It's about learning everything. The way you also talked about your career change, I'm sure that you understood that, from like teaching those children to coming to the podcast. And that's, maybe you didn't know before that you were going to do this, but taking that journey and pointing to the future where you want to be, at least not like very specifically, but being flexible and open to see where that journey will take you. I think that's one of the most important things that we believe in, like really trusting the journey.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and appreciate the you know the sentiment and the compliment on the channel. That definitely means a lot. So thank you for that. And you guys are awesome, and I'm looking forward to the future of this, where we're pointing towards. There we go.
Absolutely.
All right. I want to ask you guys another question. We're talking about music a lot. It would be, not a good idea for me not to ask this question, not to use a double negative, or now a triple negative, I guess that was. But I want to know, and again, same thing, 2 guests. You guys could do 2 and 2 and then do 1 together if you want, or separate. I need to know which 5 artists, living or dead, are going to be at your dream concert.
I think 2 and 2, and we'll agree with 1.
Okay.
So go back and forth. There you go. 1-1. Yeah.
Queen.
Good choice. Okay. Definitely, we love Freddie Mercury. We love
Absolutely.
Queen. I would go with number 1, Outkast. Original Outkast, AT Aliens Outkast,
Nice, man.
All that.
Yeah.
Kevin on Earth, for sure.
So basically, yeah, that is my art. So I still make music. I continue to write and arrange just for my own, for my own health and wellness. As I'm sure you understand, you have all these dreams in life, and you learn like music is this thing that will always be with you. You can always come back to that. So yeah, I continue to make music, and I'm grateful that my wife doesn't, get too angry when I'm recording throughout the day. But yeah, nice. I would say if I'm gonna go pick one, let's see, greatest. I mean, I would have to say Bill Evans Trio. I can't not have something from the golden era of jazz in there. Bill Evans is great, but also Hank Mobley if I had to choose only one of those jazz guys. But we have to pick one last one together. Flying Lotus. I think that is a good one. Okay.
Oh,
Flying
wow.
Lotus.
Okay. Nice. All right. I love asking this question because I am a huge, as you guys probably know a little bit at this point, huge music person. That's weird, music person. I'm a huge music person. I guess that's a fact. I love listening to music and a diverse, range of music. So when I hear Bill Evans Trio, who I have not heard of before, I don't listen to as much jazz, but I have been watching a Herbie Hancock masterclass.
Yes.
So I'm listening to him, and I'm learning some stuff from him and recommended artists to listen to if you want to get into playing jazz and all that. So I'm in the process of putting together, of just listening to different artists. So I definitely am gonna listen to them. And then Flying Lotus, I of course heard of, but I have not listened to. So when you guys mentioned a top artist, I'm like, okay, as soon as this is done recording, it's gonna be on. I need to listen to some stuff by
his newest, he has Flamagra is his newest album. You're Dead came before that. It's inspired from basically his mother passed, and he had this album that was I would say his breakthrough album. If you want to check out an album from, I would say that album is just where I feel like he really broke through to this new realm. He is like, if the best way I can describe him, he is jazz embodied today. You look back at the jazz of the past, and at this point it's... But
this is like, the modern one. It's jazz and it's structure, but it's the modern one. Yeah. It's like...
Herbie plays a lot with him.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, okay, I'm interested.
Like, he even did like tracks with Anderson .Paak and lots of people that I'm sure that you know.
Yeah.
And I want to know how you feel about that music when you check it out.
So for sure. I will absolutely.
And tell us what you thought of those.
I'm going to listen to, you said something Dead was the name of the one album? You're Dead. Okay. I'm going to check that out. I'm excited to. I thought, so from knowing the name, I thought or assumed, does he rap? Is he a rapper, or is he an instrumentalist, or a little bit?
Rap, but when he raps under this name Captain Murphy. So it's kind of like this Mad Lib kind of, he kind of goes down that lineage of Jay Dilla, Mad Lib.
Yeah.
You get Flying Lotus there. And, you know, he does do rapping, but and he does do that at his shows. He's just a really great artist. Like, and whenever you see someone out there like who can do stuff like that, and
we went to his concert last year, and it's like,
oh, nice.
It's really somebody who puts so much effort into what he delivers. Even like the table that he uses, like it's just
the visuals,
like the visuals, everything. It's like I don't think he leaves any flow that he is not trying to deliver great value. You know, it's like
that's awesome. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to check that out. That's I love getting recommendations like that. So thank you guys. That's like a little, a bonus of asking that question is I can just experience who they have to be great artists to be in someone's top 5, I think. You know, that's the way that goes. Okay, cool. So we have a little segment on the show where we need to show our sort of silly side. And to that point, we are gonna look at that camera on a count of 3, and we are gonna make just the absolute weirdest face imaginable. And we might use this I might start using this for the thumbnails for the video. That might be, actually, I think that's a good idea. I'm just thinking out loud now, but yes.
Let's do the thumbnail right now.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to move the mic out the way so they can see the full just craziness on my face. And then we're going to do it, okay? So 3, 2, 1. Perfect. I didn't see you guys' face. As usual, this is another cool thing. I'm talking too loud. This is another cool thing. When I do it, I'm just so immersed in making the face that I'm looking here and I don't see this. So like afterwards, it's always an exciting. It's only been 1 week so far, but it's an exciting thing to like go back and like I go right to that moment. I'm like, boom, there it is.
I can't wait. I gotta see this.
Yes, it's gonna be good. All right, excellent. So the last thing I wanted to do with you guys is I would love for you guys to share anything that you would like to share in terms of how our audience could reach out to you guys, could check a little bit more about your business or anything else that you like to, share with the audience.
Awesome.
So if you're interested in what we do and you want to collaborate in any way, reach out by finding our email and phone number on pointmotioncontrol.com, and we are also very active on LinkedIn, so you can also reach out personally to Kevin Clark or Imen Clark. You usually can find me on Imen Marufi. Still did not change that that name
we'll send you
yet.
The spelling for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And right on the bottom there. Yep.
And thank you so much for this, and thank you for believing in us and believing in yourselves. And I think this is a time more than ever where we need people to unite upon things like this that brings value, and take care of yourselves, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. And really just want to say absolutely thank you, Kevin, for having us on. From one Kevin to another, you're doing a great job representing.
Thank you, sir.
Let's stay in touch. And, anytime if there's anything we can do to support the channel, we're glad to. And we'll be watching. So count on us in the comment section. And everybody, go subscribe. Subscribe right now.
Go subscribe. Just stop what you're doing. Just click that button. Let's go. Let's get it together. All right. Enough of that nonsense. Okay. Awesome, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate it. This was a really, really great episode. I'm excited to share this with others and inspire others. I think people can be inspired hearing a story like this. I think that is. I'll share something here. One of the pieces of information that I got from a YouTuber that I watch a lot of. His name is Henny the Business, and I just posted something yesterday about it. I had a chance to ask a question to him on this online panel thing, and they failed at my question, and he answered it. And he talked a little bit about like the 3 main things that he thinks are just like the most important things for any YouTuber or anyone that's creating a brand for themselves. And he talked about the ability to make sure I get this right, because this is kind of off the cuff here, but the ability to motivate people with your content, the ability to entertain people with your content, and the ability to educate people. So educating them, showing your skills, sharing what it is that you want to share with people, And then, but people also want to be entertained. They don't want to be bored in the process of learning. And then people also want to feel uplifted. And so I think in this particular case, we got all three of those for sure. I mean, if anything else, you know, people watching this could come and say, you know what, now might be a time for me to kind of start this thing that I was thinking about doing. So kudos on that. And I'm excited for some future collaborations in some capacity. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Perfect. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. And I'll catch you guys later. Take care.
And
That'd be
really
great.
listen to Ryan Lotus.
I am. I'm excited to do it. I'm literally going to listen to him today. Actually, I'll probably put him. I'm going to my parents' house with my wife to celebrate the 4th. So I might just throw that on. And if people are like, "Whoa, what is this?" I'll be like, "I don't know. It just came on the radio. I have no idea." All right, guys. Y'all take care.
All right,
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.